what I call in French le grand remplacement, the great replacement, the big substitution, is the change of people and of course a change of civilization, one leading inevitably to the other. On one piece of territory, one land, one state, in one nation, there was one people, and in a relatively short time, say one generation, maybe two, on the same territory, in the same nation, there are now one or several other people. In France, the great replacement is indeed the most striking and the most dramatic phenomenon in 15th century of history. If this phenomenon is permitted to run its full course, history will go on, of course, but with one or several other people, it will be that of another country, maybe with the same name, France, maybe with a different name. And great replacement is taking place not only in France, but also in England, in Germany, in Sweden, in fact in most West European countries. And I remark that many of the issues debated during Donald Trump's campaign in the United States show that, in fact, the same phenomenon, namely ethnical substitution, the change of people and civilization, quickly implying the change of language, for instance, is also happening in America. Of course, one doesn't understand anything to great replacement, be it either in France or in other parts of the world, if one doesn't realize that it is only part of a much bigger phenomenon, which I naturally call remplacism. I once wrote a small book called The Communism of the 21st Century, and it was devoted to anti-racism, which I thought was the communism of the 21st century. But I now realize that I was wrong. The communism of the 21st century is not anti-racism. It is remplacism. Anti-racism was only transition, transitory form. All that is good and necessary in anti-racism, and that is plenty, of course, is already in morals, in general morals, in ethics. All the rest is remplacism. Remplacism is a totalitarian and probably post-human ideology which considers that absolutely everything and everybody can be exchanged for something or someone else. Man for man, people for people, man for woman, human for animal, or robots, animal for product, original products by their imitation. Absolutely all actions by their low-cost equivalent, which of course rapidly cost the same price. Remplacism, for instance, is just as present and active in those monstrous animal factories where wheels who will never see grass or sky are produced by the thousand for death and treated in the meantime exactly as if they were objects. It is just as present in that as it is in le grand remplacement, the great replacement, the change of people in France or elsewhere. I think remplacism is the monstrous offspring of industrial revolution in its ultimate phase. Anti-racism, of course, was a very likable, moralistic and liberal movement and ideal for many people, until someone had the brilliant idea, or very bad idea, it's not for me to say, of introducing it to financiers, to bankers and high industrialists. And then it became remplacism, a much, much bigger affair. Both parties, when they came into contact, anti-racism on the one hand and high finance on the other, both parties realized immediately that they had a lot in common, a lot of common interest, namely interest. Pure, beautiful, anti-racist souls discovered with delight that they could get a lot of political power, high finance and high industry, discovered with no less pleasure that anti-racism could furnish them with cheap labor force and with a way to produce endless supply of undifferentiated human matter. Remplacism, of course, is just as popular on the right that it is on the left of the political spectrum, with rightists that with leftists. That is not the issue. In fact, I'm convinced that the only political and philosophical line which really matters today is the one which runs between remplacisists on the one side and anti-remplacists. That is, those who want and promote the great replacement, either because they like it or because they think it has already happened and that there is nothing to do about it. And on the other side, those who would rather die than accepted, which I must say is indeed my case. In the French presidential election next year, all the candidates, without exception, all the candidates so far declared at least, are of the first persuasion, that is, replacees. I alone stand clearly for big refusal of the big replacement. I am convinced that there are times in the life of nations, like in the life of individuals, where a big no is the most affirmative and resolute attitude. No more immigration, no more change of people and civilization, no colonization of Europe by Africa, no Islamization, no conquest. Independence, liberation, remigration. That is the return of the conquerors where they came from.
L'immigration est devenue invasion, l'invasion, submersion migratoire.
Quel est l'objectif? Ça va faire parler. Et l'objectif, c'est relever le défi du métissage. Défi du métissage que nous adresse le XXIe siècle. Ce n'est pas un choix, c'est une obligation, c'est un impératif. On ne peut pas faire autrement, au risque de nous trouver confrontés à des problèmes considérables. Nous devons changer, alors nous allons changer. On va changer partout en même temps, dans l'entreprise, dans les administrations, à l'éducation, dans les partis politiques. Et on va se mettre des obligations de résultat. Si ce volontarisme républicain ne fonctionnait pas, il faudra alors que la République passe à des méthodes plus contraignantes encore.
Alors, mes chers amis d'Arabie Saoudite, il ne s'agit pas de chercher à imposer un modèle unique de civilisation. Ce serait répéter une fois de plus l'erreur tragique qui, dans le passé, a provoqué tant de malheurs. Ce serait nier les identités. Ce serait susciter non la paix et la fraternité, mais la violence. Car rien n'est plus dangereux qu'une identité blessée, qu'une identité humiliée. Une identité humiliée, c'est une identité radicalisée.
C'est relever le défi du métissage. Défi du métissage que nous adresse le XXIe siècle. Le défi du métissage, la France l'a toujours connu. Et en relevant le défi du métissage, la France est fidèle à son